Well, good morning. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm James Wisdom, and I think we are live right now. Don't mind my cat. Let's see. Yeah. So, yeah. Welcome to today's episode. I'm really kind of hoping that today. Gabe's here. I'm hoping that today we'll have Gabe. So, Gabe, good morning. Good morning, Gabe. Oh, got you. Gabe, are you there?
Hey, James, how are you?
I'm fantastically well. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So you got some issues going live?
Am I live right now?
You are not live right now.
Is that right?
I don't think so. Maybe you are. If you are, then I am.
I think I am. Yeah, I think I am.
Oh, no shit. Are you looking at it on well, welcome. It's Monday morning. Let me just double check, because when I was on the YouTubes, oh fuck, I'm completely busting in on your perfectly good stream.
That is perfectly fine. So,
Awesome.
how's the
hop back into
convention? What are you up to?
I'm
right.
down here. I'm down here in Florida. Unified Tattoo. We're setting them up for streaming, and here, let me check out. I'm in Florida here, so it's hot. It's like 80 degrees at 7 in the morning.
That is hot.
But
that is really hot.
But hey, like I said, I'm definitely down with listening to the show, and I'll be in the background.
Good. Yeah, it's great. No, well, I appreciate everybody who's tuning in today. And Gabe, thank you so much for checking it out and making sure that everything is working well. I hope that that the link for the show today will be available, and if anybody wants to,
I'm putting the link up as we speak.
Excellent. So today, I figured we could probably really just kind of jump into some of the drawings and stuff. I wanted to do a little bit of life drawing today. So recently, I was in a virtual classroom with Guy Atchison and the rest of the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon students, and it was, of course, an incredible experience. If you're not taking the course right now, you really ought to consider it. But our introductory exercise, our first exercise, was drawing our own hand, and so I think that's a really great place to start. If we're going to really draw together, we've been going over a lot of concepts, and we've been going over a lot of ideas and methods. But why don't we put some of that into practice today, and we can start to study the anatomy of our bodies, of our hands, and we can also learn a little bit about drawing, a little bit about tonal value. And I think these are going to be really useful subjects for you to know. Hey, real quick, as a drawer. Yo, yeah, go.
So if people are watching live and they want to join in, the link is if you go to the homepage of Reinventing the Tattoo, there's a quick link up here: free resources, upcoming events. Boom! It zooms you right down here. Today's date is holy shit, is it the 27th already?
Already.
Fuck. Okay, well, so you go down to the 27th, click on Drawing for Tattooers, and then you can copy it to your calendar. Oh, well, that's where the link is. Ha!
Excellent.
And if anybody has any other issues, just maybe shoot us a text or something, or an email. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Gabe. Right. So I'm gonna put myself in the background, and then try to spotlight my I'm gonna try to spotlight my drawing tablet. Hopefully it will be nice and visible for you. And then I'll have I have a hand model. I have a hand model here that I can use. Okay, so let me do some adjustments here. And I will pin this. Let's see. Remove that pin. Okay, so hopefully you can see my drawing tablet and my hand model. Let me see. Am I still
Okay, so
still on audio? Okay. Uh-oh.
I cannot see your
All
hand
right.
tablet. All I see is James Wisdom. Looks like
Oh, okay. You don't see
your eye, all the camera. Well, I see your eye, but I think what's going out is just a blank James Wisdom. This is strange.
Let's see. I added a pin to the. Huh.
This is what I'm seeing here.
I'm gonna try it again. See my drawing tablet. Spotlight. How's
There,
this?
now you go. There you go.
Got it?
Got it.
Perfect. Thank you, Gabe. I really appreciate it. It's always good to get correspondence on, what it is later. All right. It's always good to get correspondence so that way you know where you stand, so you know what's happening. My hand model. Okay. So. Come on, turn on. All right, great. So, got Procreate, getting ready to fire it up. I just wanted to start with an example that I drew. This was my my study that I did in our weekly drawing class with Guy. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. And I think too, something that I thought was really useful was using the drawing tools that come with Procreate. And I think Guy says, just use those tools, use the tools, and don't be ashamed of it. And I think that's really great advice. So anyway, this is kind of just an example of what hopefully we're going to be able to work towards. This is essentially like, just a tonal value study of the anatomy of the hand, and then a little bit of, my knee as well. And there are, I think there's just a few like quick things to know about. I think that will help us, sort of work our way through these things. So, so if you're going to draw your own hand, I think it can be a very complicated undertaking. But here's a couple of techniques that I hope will help you, overcome any of the difficulties that you face. All right, so for starters, we want to consider the hand like as an entire shape. Admit. Well, good morning. There's somebody coming in.
Harriet.
Yeah, good morning, Harriet. So she can hear.
Yeah, it takes a little while for all the stuff to connect. It's amazing these things work at all, isn't it?
It is amazing that we can be together even though we're not together, right? So good morning, Harriet Wisdom.
Good morning.
Are you zoomed in?
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
So this is my mom, everybody, and so she's here. Hopefully, you're gonna draw with us, Mom.
Procreate.
Dad's got Procreate, so he's going to be
Cool.
doing it while we watch you.
It's amazing these things work out.
It is amazing. If you can turn down your volume a little bit.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That'll give us.
Yeah, you should turn the stream off in the background.
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Oh.
So funny.
There, is that better?
Much better.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Okay,
Hey, it's working. You found the link.
Yeah, I found the link. I had to download Zoom so I could do this.
Ooh.
I've just been usually watching. I never Zoomed ever before.
I'm so glad that you could make it. That's awesome. Thanks, Gabe, for sending out the Zoom link. I hope everybody else, that wants to join in, don't feel bashful. Come on over, right? Come on in. The drawing is going to be fun. So, Well, great. Well, I'll try not to be distracted.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, great. Okay, so when we're going to draw anything, and specifically today a hand, what we want to think about is that it's a whole shape, right? We don't want to just start off with, let's say, like the detail, like, the fingernail, like the fingernails, or, one thumb, and then try to draw the whole thing. We want to try to block it in as an abstract shape, and and after that, we'll be able to add the details later. So the point is, to strategize and to delay your gratification, right? Because I feel like it's pretty satisfying to see the highlights and stuff, right? See the dark shadows, see the highlights, see all the drawing come together. That really is, I think it can really be like rewarding in many ways. But there's an order to the operations. So you want to take your time and map out as much as you can, so that way you're able to more accurately place the shadows, the highlights. You're more able to capture the volume of the forms, and then describe the anatomy, right? In this case, anatomy. And so I think it's going to be, just takes a little bit of patience, but after that, there's no reason why you can't have results like this. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to do a new canvas. All right, so for those of you who are kind of starting in Procreate, this might be helpful to kind of get started. Start off with a blank sheet, so a new canvas. And then what I like to do is I go into the layers panel, and right away I like to go to the background color and just click that. And then I like to go to, I like to tone it down a little bit. I might even go slightly darker for the, but like about middle gray. I'm going a little darker because it looks better on my, on the screen. So, oh, great. Oh, anyway, so this, having this toned in canvas for yourself, I think it helps to take a little bit of the, that really distracting, just, void of like a white piece of paper. It can be, I think it can be really challenging to, to sort of like, how do I fill in this blank sheet? So starting off with some tone, I think, can be really nice, whether it's on, analog media like paper and pencil, or canvas, or in this case, digital. And that, I think, that's just simply like just a recommendation, not a requirement in any sense. But again, it's just, click that little layers panel and then adjust the background, and then we'll be on layer 1. And you can of course make as many layers as you like, but we'll start with 1 layer, and so I'll start to block out the drawing. I'm gonna choose a sketching. Let's see. I'll go with my sketching and the pencil. Yeah, got it. Got my Procreate pencil, and I can adjust how the opacity here, and then I can also adjust the size of it here. I'll make a couple of marks to see. That looks pretty good. If you want to make other adjustments, you can double tap on it, and you can adjust any of these sliders on any of your brushes. That's kind of how this program works. So as you're getting more familiar with it, you'll start to learn what it is that you like, right? You'll really start to figure out what it is you like. So anyway, turn off some of that. Very good. So I think it would be really good to start with just our normal warm-ups that we've been practicing for the last few weeks, right? So we'll work on our 50 ellipses and just kind of get warmed up, get that connection, that mind-body connection going. So you can do it on a piece of paper if you like, or you can definitely do it on your tablet if you're drawing along digitally. But let's go ahead and get started. Let me make sure everything's good. Okay. All right. So if everyone's ready, let's begin. So 50 ellipses, and remember, an ellipse can have any orientation, long axis, and a short axis, right? And they need to be perpendicular bisectors, right? So the halfway point between, those things, and then ellipse. Perfection is unattainable, right? So anyway, so let's get to it, right? So draw your 50 ellipses, and they can be any orientation you like. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and zoom in. That's what's nice about this. I can make more space. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Yes?
Go ahead. Keep going. We're doing it.
30, 33, 34, 35, yeah, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. And then I'm gonna do the last 10 of them with my other hand, right? Ambidexterity is maybe not something that we'll ever necessarily achieve. However, just sort of activating that other side, it's a challenge, and I think it's one that's worthwhile. So if you can, switch over to the other hand, do the last 10 with the other hand, all right? So let's see how they go. Oh, wait, eraser. Ooh.
It's not too good.
40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Go around the track a couple times. 48, 49, and 50. Ah, very good, class. Hopefully you just accept that if you want to be a really good artist one day, you got to be comfortable with making lots and lots of bad art, right? If you want to make a masterpiece, you're gonna have to make lots of non-masterpieces. If every single thing you do is so fraught with tension because it has to be perfect, you're never gonna do it. So I believe in this sort of a exercise because I think it kind of helps. It helps with the muscle memory and stuff like we've talked about, but also I think it's a healthy thing to do. It's a healthy way to sort of approach your drawing that every once in a while you can loosen up a little bit, and it doesn't have to be what's at stake is experience, right? Your experience. So anyways, I think that's great. So perhaps now we could get on with our lesson, just so because it's going to be a big one, right? I'm going to try to talk about anatomy, and I'm going to try to talk about form and maybe some shading and stuff, value rather. So all right, So what I'll do now is I'm just gonna add a layer, and I'll just turn off that other one. You can also you can
There.
always delete it if you want. No big deal. Um,
That's second
but you
layer.
never know. You may want to save up those little sketches and check them out later and sort of view your progress. So
Pick the color for the second layer.
how's it going over there
Well,
at the Wisdom House?
got some circles and or some
Yeah,
ellipses, and we're
those
working
look
on
great.
Second layer.
making second layer.
Yeah, excellent. All right, well, so I hope it was a good time. I really do. I hope that was enjoyable. All right, so all right. Hopefully, you've got an extra hand to draw with. Not everybody has both hands. I mean, so we don't want to exclude you. So you could maybe you have a foot. You could try to draw that. There's a similarity insofar as there are anatomical parallels that belong to hand, and so they're very challenging to draw, right? The hand and the foot, very, very challenging to draw. So essentially, I think the more simplified that we can make it, the better. So so perhaps I'll change the pose here a little bit and just do an open hand. And again, this one isn't like isn't 100%. Let me see. It's not going to look the same for you as it does for me. Well, maybe if I lay it down, maybe if I do something like that, then maybe it's a little bit closer. What I'm going to draw will be a little bit closer to what you may see. So, all right. So again, want to think about the whole shape first. Don't want to really let me look at this side. Maybe this side's more fun. Yeah, that side's like that. How's that?
Okay.
Oh, I like that. I think that looks best. It's always good to sort of check out your composition before you get rolling, right? Composition is a really important subject, and I know it's something that I definitely will talk about more specifically at another time. However, just simply bringing it up, I really think is is important. So we're thinking about composition. I worked with the hand and kind of posed it. So maybe take a few moments and kind of get comfortable where you're at and see where you can, place your hand, so that way you can also, get the composition that's going to work best for you. All right. So got this hand here. There's going to be, a little bit of this forearm that we'll put in, but really I'm kind of focused on, on the hand as almost as a single object itself. Again, it has to belong to the rest of a body, or I mean, it has to have belonged to a body. Like this one is a severed hand, obviously. So if you see a severed hand, there begs the question, where's the body? But we can think of the hand as as an object, and just an interesting note, like painters, if they're going to paint your portrait, they're going to ask you like, well, you want to include your hands? And if you do, well, it's likely that it's going to cost about double, because the hands themselves are almost like a whole other figure itself. I am going to turn on a directional light as well. I hope it doesn't blow things out, but I'm going to see how it goes. So let's see. Maybe I could turn that down a little bit. Up a little bit. Yes. Okay. So I turned on a little bit of a slightly stronger light. And you can of course see it on my tablet, but hopefully you can't see it now. Okay, good. All right. So I turned on a slightly stronger directional light. If you're drawing, in your studio, maybe you sit by the window, maybe you turn on, Maybe you have like a drawing lamp or something like that, or a reading lamp, anything that you can shine on your subject. And what you want to reveal are the shadows. So if I point here at the hand, here, let me back up. Right. So I sort of point at the drawing of this hand I have, and I can point at the model as well. We can see that there's areas of tone, right? These tones describe the forms, right? We can see that the shadow moves up along this plane, this vertical plane of my object here, my hand object, and then there's another plane, right, that counters it. This top plane is receiving the light, just like in my hand example here, that's more rendered. The form is being described by a form shadow. And what we can see when we look at the form shadow, whether it's here or here, what we can see is there's a slight softness as it moves across the form. That's the sort of the telltale sign of a form shadow. However, we can tell there's another type of shadow, this cast shadow, slightly darker shadow here, has a much sharper edge quality, right? So the edge quality will matter when you're rendering the shadows. So just something to keep in mind to help you stay organized. You're going to look at this object hand, and you're going to want to start to render it, and you'll want to start to pay attention to how the shadows are relating to one another. Okay, so I think I'll just draw another hand on this one, so hopefully I can jump back and forth, and if we need to, for example. Okay, all right, so here's the technique for today. I think that was a little bit of talk about shading, and there'll be more of that. I think the more that you can kind of commit that to memory, the better your drawing experience will be. But here's the technique. So you're going to want to take your implement, whether it's a pencil or an Apple pencil, could be a charcoal stick, it could be a paintbrush for that matter. But what you want to do is we're gonna do a measuring technique, a visual measuring technique. So here's how it goes. You want to try to extend your arm as straight as you can. You're going to want to close one of your eyes. This is a really important step. And it's also important, I think, to remember, when we're drawing, from life, we're really drawing from a single point of perspective. And so having, if you're looking, you're kind of really, if you have both eyes work, binocular vision, our minds do this really amazing thing. Our minds stitch together two different images and makes it into one image. That's like our vision. So when you're drawing, if you're just looking with both eyes, you may sort of favor one for a little while, and then as you sort of move to the other side, your mind might start like sort of favoring the other one. This leads to all sorts of discrepancies in the drawing that they're totally inadvertent, and it seems like you're doing everything accurately. So just a good practice, a good habit to get into when you're drawing a drawing, if you want it to be like have an accurate perspective and be more representational, you can sort of be disciplined and always like draw with the same eye, right? So close one and draw with the other. I usually favor my right eye, but maybe like we were practicing with our ellipses, maybe every once in a while you try it the other way and use your other eye. So anyway, so I'm going to extend my arm, and what I want to do is I want to relate some a proportion. Okay, and so I'm going to find the ratio first, and I'm going to look for like the relationship for me from this horizontal edge to the vertical, right? Just the space. So let me see if I can do it. So I'm going to close one eye, and I'm going to try to demonstrate on camera here for you all. So from the knuckle to the wrist, visually, that's going to be more than the the width, right? So let me try that. I can try that the other way, and I can measure the width first. So again, I'm aligning the top edge of my implement, right? And I'm using my thumb to be a placeholder. So have you ever seen artists do that? They're like, they're looking and they're doing this. This is what we're doing, right? So extend your arm as best as you can. I'm gonna try to like show it visually for you, and then I'll probably, it's not the way I see it, but for camera purposes. See? So I have approximately visually from my place, the height, right? It's a width of the hand, but for me, just for this purpose, it's like a height. So I'm looking for the widest spot. Yeah, probably right about there. And then again, I'm going to turn it at perpendicular relationship. Right, we've covered that perpendicular relationship, and then I want to just sort of try to find. All right, see, it's probably like 3/4. That's probably roughly the relationship, right? It's my vertical, right, which is the width of the hand, is approximately 3/4 of the length of the hand, which is the horizontal for me. So, hopefully that's not too complicated, but I'll put that in. So I can start off by sort of like blocking in. I think my hand is going to roughly fall into this. This would be the composition, so roughly, from the tips of the fingers to, maybe roughly here, or, maybe the rest of the wrist will, come off that way. I want to compose rather than sort of start to draw things and, whatever. I'll compose an amount on my paper that I'm going to want to cover. Okay, so again, I don't want to take up all of this amount. That's what's nice about digital. I mean, there's so much options. So I don't want to take up all this amount necessarily. With the hand, I want to have room for the fingers. So I have this relationship here. Let's do another one. Let's just kind of check. Let's check this halfway point, right? So I'm going to go from the back here, the wrist, right? I want to measure to the knuckle, right? And then I want to try to measure out to the distal end of this phalange. That's the term. That's the term for your fingers, right? Your fingers are phalanges, and so the farthest end is the distal end. And then there's the proximal. The proximal end is the one that's closer to the body, right? So the further away distal, and the closer to your center is proximal. So, all right. So again, I'm just gonna do a quick visual check. All right. So from the wrist to the knuckle is that amount, and then I'm gonna go this way. It is like, probably if that finger was flat, they'd be the same, right? There's a little bit of grace in the fingers. They're slightly sort of articulated, so it's a little less. But that's a nice relationship. It's a nice relationship to sort of find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to approximately sort of divide this in half, roughly, maybe just a little bit. Maybe this is size a little bit more. You know what I mean? A little bit more on this side, but approximately. Just start sketching, right? Just be really sketchy. All right, so far these 3 marks, they correspond to these 3 points, right? So wrist to knuckle to the end of the fingertips, the distal end of the phalanges. Great. Well, I already did the measurement, but I'll do it again just to kind of show you. So I already know the relationship of this overall, the length of the hand, horizontally speaking. Then I'm going to measure one more time. When in doubt, you can always measure. Measure, and then I'm going to compare it. So when you're measuring, it's always horizontal to vertical. Right? It's always horizontal to vertical. We'll do another technique in a minute to help us sort of connect all these things. But so I'm doing this vertical one, right? Get it lined up. And then compare it to the horizontal. Great. So again, there's just this little bit of, it's about that much. So I'm gonna do that measurement. See, I'll sort of rough in the top part here, and then So again, I can still use my pencil to measure with as well. Now, I'm just going to block it in. I'm not going to worry too much about, like, it's a little bit of shape there, but I'm just going to like sort of simply block in everything just so that way it's, starting to get recorded. Very good. I think the same thing can happen up here, right? We can kind of just roughly block in sketchy. We can sketchily block in the rest of the fingers. Okay. So I think we're really starting to get to the point where we have to start thinking about angles just a little tiny bit, right? Just a little tiny bit. Okay, so here's how it works. Before, we were doing a measurement technique where we were really focused on the relationship between, here in this case, the vertical field and then the horizontal one. We're really focused on that. The next one, and again, remember to close one of your eyes and only really use one eye as you're working. Next, let's try to cite an angle. How do we do that? Well, we're going to hold our drawing implement and we're going to hold it along, just visually, the angle. So let's say that there's an angle here. This isn't, this isn't related to our horizontal and vertical that we've established. So, and again, it can get really tricky, right? It really can get tricky, but I'm trying to, just show you a basic sort of method. All right, so again, I'm going to close one eye, right? And I'm going to hold up this angle, and I'm going to take it right down to my paper. All right, I'm just going to take it right down to the paper. For me, I'm just going to see. Yeah. All right, so that way I've transferred the information, right? I took the information from here and brought it right down to the pad. So there's nothing that can, sort of, it can give you the, what measurement can give you, but again, angles are what's going to bring the, the readability to your legible sort of drawing. Measuring angles, very difficult. I do not recommend it. Measuring along, horizontally, right, and vertically, that is a good way to go, right? You measure, you compare horizontal amounts and vertical amounts to each other. That's a really good way to go. But you can cite angles, right? So you take your angle and then you can bring it right to your paper. And so again, I kind of have I have a point here, which is the tip of this, this is the sort of proximal end of the last digit. So I can cite another angle if I like, and let's see, from that one to the thumb, right? So bring that down, yeah. So just a little bit of a triangulation. So that gives me the point. That should correspond here roughly to the thumb. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure here, cite another angle, hopefully, to some sort of tip of the finger. Again, I can sort of cite this, say it's going to be approximately there. And then I'm going to, sorry for the awkwardness. Yeah, I'm going to bring it right down to the paper. Yeah, that worked out really well. There's going to be a void here, right? But there's still an invisible angle. I hope that makes sense, right? This is going to be the finger is going to go here, right? Roughly, you know what I mean? I'll get rid of this, but finger's going to go here and thumb will be here, right? But there's still this hidden angle, right? That's there, So, and we can always just erase all that out. So I'll take a step back because that's not accurate. Okay, very nice. So, yeah. Now I'll cite another angle. I think that would be kind of nice, and I can. It's going to be where the finger is. Probably a good idea to do another probably a good idea to do another measurement at this point. So I'll measure from the, from this knuckle, right, to the, to the next knuckle, series of knuckles here. All right, so I'm gonna measure. There we go. Measure it. This is a small measurement, right? So now I'm going to take this horizontal. I want to compare it to the vertical measurement that I already know, which is going to be the height of this hand. So I'm going to take that amount. All righty. And this is how I'm going to measure it. So I want to try to put my thumb right where the tip of, as I move it, I want to try to visually sort of, move everything accurately. So 1, 2, it's like 2, right? So kind of divide this in half roughly. Hopefully this all works out. That's that, right? That's the amount, right? So as I'll measure one more time to sort of demonstrate. So I'm measuring from the knuckle, right, to this, to the end of this, the first section, right, of this index finger. So just a measurement. Let me look at it through the screen so you can see. All right. So just a rough measurement, right? Horizontal one. And I want to take it and turn it vertically. And then I want to try to move it up accurately. So 1, 2. So I'll just double check it real quick for myself. 1, 2. Just a little bit more than, a little bit more than this width, which is, the width of the hand, which is our vertical measurement. So I'm just going to figure that out. Very nice. So this should correspond to this first sort of knuckle here. And then again, I can double check that with an angle. So there's going to be an angle from the tip of the thumb, which we established, right, to this little spot of the knuckle. So let me just, let me do that. Just the outside, I'm using the outside edge of my pencil here to do this with. In this case, I'm not worried about the tip of my pencil. What I'm doing is I'm trying to find an angle. So this isn't a measurement, this is an angle finding. I really want to like sort of reiterate the difference. And so just try to keep that in mind as you're going through. So I want to find this angle. See how we're doing. Okay, and bring it down to the paper. Look at that, like perfect. Perfect. So all of our measurements so far are corresponding. This is good to know, right? Before you get into the details. What you don't want to do is like get in there and draw the thumb and then draw the next finger and draw the next finger and so on and so forth, right? You want to try to establish there's this larger shape relationship. And so that's going to be, that's what's going to lead to success. So, right. So there's like another one. We could probably pick up the pace a little bit. A little bit of angle there. That's the thumb. I could also find this thumb angle here, right? So that should be fairly accurate for the thumb proportion, insofar as relates to this, this would be the metacarpals. This would be the area of the metacarpals. The carpals are your wrist bones. There's many small bones that comprise your wrist. That's what gives you all the delicate flexibility. That's why it's called a carpal tunnel syndrome. So if you like mess up your, your wrist through the carpal tunnel, it's like all of the delicate, musculature that runs through your forearm and into your hand runs through the carpal tunnel. And so if you start to, if you mistreat your hands, you're gonna end up with a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort, just being able to use your wrist. So you really want to take care of yourself and learning anatomy can help you do that, right? So approximately the carpal bones, strangely enough, they're not really, if you look at your actual, wrist area, this little bump here, this is the head of your ulna, right? And a much larger radius. right? Over here. This is the ulna and the radius are the two bones of your forearm. And then the carpal bones start here. They're all here, like in your hand, right? So all of your muscles, your radialis, your brachioradialis, they're all running through the extensor digitalis brevis, the extensor digitalis longus. They're all like running through here, through the carpal tunnel, and then through all of your carpal bones. And then your metacarpals, they're the long bones here. And then your phalanges, they're the ends of your digits and stuff. Okay. So again, I have a pretty well mapped out. Yeah. So where's this end of the index finger? Where's that at? I think we can do a measurement from this spot to the index finger just to sort of find out. So I'm gonna like just measure it as best I can. So I don't want to angle it too much. I want to try to even though this has an angle to it, I'm gonna look for here to there and measure that amount. So I want to hold my pencil still true, like to a horizontal and vertical for me. So I'm gonna find it. All right, very good. Roughly, and then turn it 90 degrees. Hopefully it's like it's in the same spot for you, right? Like, so just this should be the movement, right? Wherever you're at, and then try to keep it right there. And your implement should be parallel to your eye, right? Don't tip it forward like this, and don't tip it back towards you like this. It should be however you're looking. Call it the picture plane, but we'll get into that more later. Your drawing implement, as you're measuring and using it to draw with, should be parallel to your eye, right? So again, I'm gonna try to measure from this location to the distal end of the index finger. That works. All right. We'll turn it vertically for me. I want to check that myself from my, yeah. So it's going to be a little bit, this is a little bit longer than this is, wide. So, again, that's sort of backwards to what we're talking about. This horizontal measurement is different from the vertical one, but of course it's, dealing with a hand. It's complicated, right? Hands are complicated. So just grab that amount, and yeah, that's approximately where we had it. And I can sort of cite the angle just to make sure and bring it down. Yeah. Good. And then there's going to be a little bit of, there's another break in the finger. You know what I mean? So there's this first segment, and then the second one, and then there's a third one. But that's a detail. After you get everything blocked in, you can get to those details. But first establish the relationship of once you have the whole hands figured out, right? Then you can start to figure out, like, this is approximately where the thumb is, and this is approximately where these fingers will go. Then you can start to get to some of the details, like the fingernails. I'd like to draw this bracelet, maybe, whatever. Then you can start to get to the rendering. Then you can start to bring out the rendering and stuff. So I'm going to continue to try to bring this together. Let's see. It's a little bit of I'm going to focus away from this finger here and try to block in the rest of them so I don't get lost in this one. Right. So, so what I can do, I want to find, I want to make sure that this is the right spot. I don't know if this is the right, the end of this top plane of the finger. So what I'll do is I'm going to make a measurement visually from here to there, and then that's a vertical for me, and I can compare it to the horizontal relationship we have so far. So let's see if you get it. Yeah. And then again, I can just compare the verticals together. It looks like one and a third or something like that. Maybe 1.5. Let's see. What do you think? Like 1 1/3. maybe one and somewhere in between 1.5. It's we're still you're drawing by eye. That's kind of how this process works, So, but we can also, I'm measuring these 3 fingers, right? The width of those, just because I want to make sure that I get the accurate first finger. So measurement, and I'll try horizontal relation. 1, 2. Nice, very nice. That's a little bit more. That's a little easier to translate. Does that make sense? I was like trying to, I measured it. I measured it and tried to compare it here. I was like, that was like, I'd have to guess a lot of it. Well, measure it, this vertical to these horizontals, and it really worked out nicely. Sort of approximately half of this. Nice. So just a little bit higher when I had it. That's good. Okay. Again, I can cite the angle. Good. So that's the kind of thinking of it, almost less of the top of this finger and more of the beginning of these other 3, but whatever. Okay, so we're starting to get some blocky sort of segments in here. Now I want to, we also covered the angles and how citing angles can work. Now I think is a really great time. Let's apply a little bit of gesture, So where might we think about that? Well, there's a lovely gesture, here, insofar as the knuckles, right? They're all sort of related in a gestural sort of movement. You kind of see the movement. Same here. I just want to place that. I still like the blocks, this blocky look. It's going to be a lot easier to add, sort of curves and, sort of roundness to this after I have a good structural block to sort of carve away from. So, all right. Again, I want to like sort of cite this gesture, but this is like a movement, right, of your hand, and this is where all that ellipsy practice hopefully will come into the benefit. So just sort of finding the curve, and then again I can also cite where it's going to end. That's pretty close. Great. Same thing here. I can start to get a little bit of gesture to it, and then again there may be just a little bit of angle citing. So I'll extend the middle finger, will be out just slightly more. Right. Let's see. Right now I'm just doing that. I'm citing this angle. That should approximately be, and that makes sense. That this tip of this pinky finger is there, and then let's see, roughly, it's going to rough in the gesture. So the tips of the fingers. I'm going to grab my eraser, and I'm just going to knock back some of this sketch. Yes. Just going to knock it back. That eraser sucks. Yeah, there's all different kinds of erasers. Your eraser, this is probably a good point to talk about it, right? The eraser in your Procreate kit could be any of the brushes. This is nice when you're rendering, right? You may not take off a whole lot. You may want to, in fact, rather, use it like a drawing tool, right? You can always sort of use your eraser like a drawing tool. But this will be a little bit probably quicker. So I want to reduce the size, and the opacity is good. Yeah, so it kind of takes out a little bit of my sketch. Good. Right. Just maybe a little bit less of that. Yeah, just a slightly less there. Okay, very good. Right. Okay, so far so good. Let's see if we can't just sort of articulate these last two, and then I just want to like develop a little bit of the planes. I don't think we're gonna, sorry. Damn it. Shit. Anyway, so I don't think I'm going to be able to render this whole thing with this lesson. But again, we had the example. Whoops. We had this example that that I gave us earlier. So you can, this is kind of how I developed this one. I work a little quicker than the demonstration, but once you do it a few times, you can work quickly too, and then you can get to the rendering and stuff really, really quickly. So turn that down, and all right, great. There's the hand. Zoom in just a little bit more. Okay. So, right. Let's see where we're at. Derp. All right. So again, I'm going to just do another quick cite. Cite the angle. Right, and that'll be a little bit slightly more accurate representation there. Okay, good. And then again, we can cite the middle finger. Again, I can sort of cite to here. All right, and then cite its angle because I can see it. Yeah, like that. But it's a little bit forward. Okay. Yes. Anyway, we'll develop that a little bit more as we go. Let's see, I should probably measure. So I'm going to measure from the thumb to the top of the this knuckle here on the middle finger. So let me see. Just do that quickly. So measure and compare horizontally. Try it again. Measure and measure again. I think it's sort of like, you might as well. That's nicer. So there's a relationship there. So from the thumb to the top of this is the same as from, we'll do that one time. Yeah, roughly there to there. Yeah, that's pretty close. And let's see, should be in front of that. So again, cite another angle here. Good. Cite the angle. Roughly. A little wider there. And okay, so this one, very awkward sort of bend of the finger, but you never know. Some people are like that. Angle. Oh, back up. To that. All right, and let's see here. I think again, like once you do some measurements, and then you really gotta work into this like angle finding stuff. It can be a little tricky at first, but I think once you kind of get the hang of it. So let's see. How'd our gesture do? Looks pretty good to me. Remember, keep closing one eye at a time. Always have to close one eye. So there. Right, and then like so, and let's see. Let me bring this up just a smidgen. Yeah. So maybe a little wide in a few spots, right? If that's the case, if you have a little bit of wideness or something like that, why don't you grab one of your tools, right? So over here, you have a series of tools, right? And so what I want to do is I want to click this little magical wand, and then I'm going to use this liquefy liquefy tool. And you can set it, different ways, but mine is set on, it's kind of, I think automatically on push. And so I'm just gonna push this down just a little bit. There you go. Yeah, that's better, I think. I think that's a little bit better. And then maybe I push this in just a smidgen too. Sure, why not? Why not? Why not use it if you have the tool, right? You can check it out. If you need to make it a little wider or something, or just adjust it a little bit, good. That's probably fine. You can overdo it. You can definitely overdo it. But why not? Why not try it? That's fun. Okay, good. Okay, so right. So again, I'm not going to worry about like trying to get in there and like make a hard outline around this hand. I would render it first. I would add shading and stuff. But before I do that, I would probably block in the planes, right? What are the planes, right? They're the geometric planes. So, it's kind of like you can see this little block that I got right here, right? This is vertical, right? And then here's a flat horizontal plane, right? It goes inside again, another horizontal plane, another vertical plane. These are planes, right? And your hand, any part of your body, any anatomy is going to have similar sort of geometrical structure that is associated with it, because it's a physical object and it has mass, so thus it's going to have planar structure, right? So there's planes. So again, you should measure this, right? So measure the shadow. So this shadow is really small, so instead of measuring it, I would probably measure the light plane, right? So again, I'll probably just try to measure that. Okay, and then compare it. 1, 2. So just a little bit more than half of it. That's half of this. There you go. That's where the plane, right, breaks for the hand. We can get more into the terminology of shadows and stuff, but this would be referred to as the Terminator, or the core of the shadow. So light is striking this object, and it's hitting it at like about 100%, and then once it gets to right about here, it just dramatic fall off, right? The light is no longer even hitting any of the planes. It's passing right past it, and that gives us our dramatic shadows. So again, we've got this shadow plane, and the fingers, each one of the fingers is going to have a plane. Once you describe the planes, right, that there's a side plane and a top plane, right, that's where you can start to put the fingernails and stuff, right? Like if you just look at a fingernail and try to draw it, you might draw that fingernail accurately, but you may not be able to associate it with a larger form and a larger context, like for instance the hand. So right, so I can see a little bit more plane on the side of this finger here, and then turn all the way down. Great. Okay. Oh, all right, sorry about that. Hopefully everything's still going. All right, my phone is not going to make it much longer. So I hope that that this has been really helpful, for everybody, and that you can, if you just practice these techniques, this measuring technique, again, there's a real benefit and a real value to to doing that. And I think I think I might sort of leave you with, just I guess just thinking about like, what it is that you do, and permission, right? Like, you don't need permission to be an artist. You just have to do it, right? That's the only thing. That's the only permission you need, is you just have to make your art. That's really, I really think that you, you never need permission to be an artist. It's a calling, and if you just have to look for what you love, and that's going to be, really where you're going to find, your joy. And I guess you don't have to worry about, your style. You don't have to worry about your style. You just have to work hard, and the style is going to take care of itself. So anyway, again, start with a sketch, right? And see if you can't develop, some, once you have a really accurate sketch, see if you can't develop like a little bit of contour, right? See if you can't find where those cast shadows would be, right? Then you could start to develop your rendering. And then hopefully before too long, you'll end up, with some nice drawings and stuff, as well. So anyway, I think that's really going to do it for today. I hope that you got something out of this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also check out Reinventing the Tattoo. It really is the source for tattoo community and knowledge. So if you're a tattooer, you really should be there, like honing your skills. So yeah, I'm supposed to come up with something to say at the end, and I don't know what to say at the end of these, but we'll see you